And we are back with Issue Today, and this is when we get a check up on the news. And reporter Angela Chung has joined me in the studio. Good morning, Angela.
Good morning, Miss Yang.
Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, I did. It was very hot.
It was so hot.
Yeah,
yes.
but it was also at sometimes it was windy, so it was a nice weather. Breezy.
It was really nice. Do you think about jumping into a pool as well, or your summer vacations?
Yes, I would definitely want to go to like a little picnic with my dog.
With your dog?
Yeah,
I was expecting with your husband, but it was the dog first.
He needs to run around.
Yeah, I relate. Your dog or your husband?
They both.
Let me ask you also about the question of the day, flowers. Do you have flowers in your home, or what's your kind of favorite flower to decorate your house?
I prefer plants
Yeah.
to flowers because flowers die really easily.
Quickly.
So
My
I do
plants died too.
I actually like dry flowers.
Oh, okay. Dry flowers. You know, you could try maybe even fake flowers as well. Apparently, they're having a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't like fake flowers that much.
Got it. All right, let's move on to our first news, which is really good news, actually. We're starting off with some good news, especially for sports lovers, baseball fans, and also people who have been missing going to concerts. Tell us about this.
Sure. Starting from today, the restrictions on the number of attendance for stadiums will be allowed to accommodate 30% of its capacity in the Greater Seoul area and 50% in the other regions. And the number of people a pop music concert hall can accommodate will be expanded to a large degree from the current 99 people up to 4,000 people. Unlike classical music and musical performance halls, pop music concert halls have been subject to restrictions on gatherings of up to 99 people, and the rules for performance centers raising an issue of fairness among the performance venues. Now, these restrictions will be lifted.
So once again, very good news for those who love sports and music, seeing it in person, rather way. Does this mean any changes in the social distancing levels?
So unfortunately not. The current social distancing levels and the ban on the gatherings of 5 or more people will remain in place, which means for the next 3 weeks from today until July 4th, the social distancing level in the Greater Seoul area will be level 2, while other regions, the level will be 1.5.
Okay, so once again, the current social distancing levels are in place for another 3 weeks. So that means, I imagine, quite strict quarantine measures at these places. They'll have more people, but there will still be some strict rules, right?
Right, absolutely. The attendants must wear a face mask, of course, while attending, and they will not be allowed to eat or drink, change their seats, or keep a distance between seats during the game or show. The government has decided to phase in the revised rules for sports stadiums and music concert halls from today, considering a smooth transition into a new social distancing level scheduled in July and the coming summer vacation season as well. So the number of attendants can be adjusted and disinfection measures can be enhanced depending on the circumstances of the local authorities.
Right, especially when there are indoor events. Should be very important that we wear one of those KF94 or the high masks. And
Right.
also, very importantly, you're not allowed to yell or sing along, 떼창, even in these concerts just yet. We'll have to hold off on that for a couple of more months. Now, we also have a new story about some eased entry restrictions. First, how it applies to foreigners.
So, starting from July 1st, foreigners who have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19 will be allowed to visit Korea without a mandatory 2-week quarantine period if they travel to Korea for business, academic or public interest, humanitarian purposes, or their trips are for their lineal family visits.
All right, so there are certain requirements. You said the purpose of the trip is also very important. What also is required?
So in order to enter Korea, more than 2 weeks should have been passed since he or she is fully vaccinated with vaccines approved by WHO, such as Pfizer, Janssen, Moderna, AstraZeneca, Covishield, Sinopharm, or Sinovac vaccines. And those who are subject to this measure are people who are fully vaccinated, and they have to be nationals in countries where coronavirus variants have not been prevalent. If you have to travel to Korea for important personal business activities, you have to apply for a quarantine exemption request to the relevant ministry for the screening process.
Right. This is to to ensure that there are no sort of fake quarantine certificates as well. Now, it's not only to foreigners, of course. Koreans living overseas are also eligible for this policy. And this is very good news for those, especially who are planning on coming to Korea for the summer.
Right. I was thinking about your family too, right?
Yes, yes.
can come
Now
in.
my son can come. Yes.
Oh, nice. So Koreans living overseas are also eligible, but they will be exempt from the quarantine measures when their trips are to visit their lineal family members, which include spouses, himself or herself, and lineal ascendants or descendants of the spouse. In order to obtain the quarantine-free status, you have to submit the quarantine exemption request, family relation certificate, vaccination certificate, and the written pledge. If one's caught falsifying any of the documents, you'll be subject to fine or even deportation, and even charged for treatment cost if you're infected with COVID-19.
Now, you did mention that those coming in from countries where the variants have been prevalent will not be eligible for this measure. So tell us some of those countries.
Sure. Countries where coronavirus variants have been widespread include South Africa, Brazil, Malawi, Botswana, Mozambique, Tanzania, Eswatini, Zimbabwe, Bangladesh, Equatorial Guinea, Suriname, Paraguay, and Chile. And if you're from one of these countries, it's not entirely impossible to enter Korea, but you would have to go through more stringent requirements for quarantine-free entry.
All right. And if you are eligible to enter Korea without the quarantine, there still are some follow-up measures that they will be applicable to.
Right. Those who enter Korea without a mandatory quarantine period, they must take COVID-19 diagnosis test before and after they enter the country 3 times in total. And they also have to download a self-test application on their mobile phone to check if they have developed any COVID-19 symptoms.
So once before they actually enter the country, then 2 more times after they enter Korea.
Yes.
Moving on to our last piece of news, another piece of good news, especially for music lovers and for those who might aspire to be a great musician as well.
Yes, Seoul City's musical instrument donation campaign has begun. Through this campaign, 1,536 musical instruments of 26 types have been redonated after repairing and tuning. The newly born musical instruments have been donated to 140 places, including vulnerable student groups, eye care soul centers, and social welfare centers to give students more opportunities to learn how to play a musical instrument and enjoy music without any economic burden.
All right, so it's a very good cause, and I know that a lot of people have been cleaning house over the past year. So if you have some old instruments lying around that you're not using, you can participate.
Right. If one of your musical instrument is just sitting in your room, you can definitely donate your musical instrument by visiting Seoul Community Culture Center, Nakwan, in person, or apply for donation on its website. And special bonus for this year's campaign, there will be a web map for the public. This web map will have stories of 2 years of donation campaign, how musical instruments are donated, repaired, and shared, and all that. And famous singer Henry will participate as an honorary ambassador to promote this campaign.
All right, thank you very much for those updates, Angela. Have a great week, and we'll see you again on Friday.
See you on Friday.